From the very first second, the world of Ethan Walters collapsed in a way he never expected. The stormy night when he lost his wife in a highway accident still echoed in his memory like an unending nightmare, leaving behind only two things he couldn't let go of, his little daughter Lily, and the guilt that carved its home in his heart. Life had turned into a battlefield where every morning meant another struggle, another day trying to keep the sorrow hidden behind forced smiles. But fate wasn't done testing him yet, and the next chapter of his life was about to drag him into a path he never thought he would walk, marrying a woman he barely knew, who couldn't even stand on her own feet. Before the story takes you deeper, viewers who believe in kindness, second chances, and miracles, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Ethan lived in a small rented house on the outskirts of the city, working 2 jobs to manage Lily's school fees, groceries, and the piled-up medical bills from his late wife's treatment. His heart had scars that time refused to heal. Lily was his only reason to breathe, a cheerful 6-year-old with bright eyes and a laughter that still had the power to break through his darkness. But life had a strange way of delivering struggles. His landlord, an old relative of his late wife, gave him a strange condition when Ethan failed to pay the accumulated rent. The landlord's niece, a 28-year-old woman named Isabella Hart, was paralyzed from the waist down after a tragic fire accident. She had no one left, no siblings, no parents, and the landlord wanted her to have someone who could take care of her. The condition was shocking and unfair. If Ethan wanted to stay in the house and avoid homelessness with his little daughter, he would have to marry Isabella. The decision shattered Ethan internally. He wasn't ready to marry anyone. His heart was still bleeding from the memories of his wife. But Lily was everything to him. The idea of losing the roof over her head made him shiver. With a heart full of fear, confusion, and pain, Ethan agreed. He didn't even know who Isabella really was, only the rumors that she had once been a lively, adventurous girl before fate took away her ability to walk. The wedding was quiet, almost silent, no laughter, no music, just signatures on a paper and the uncomfortable weight of 2 broken souls standing next to each other with no idea how to move forward. After the marriage, Ethan moved Isabella into the house. Her wheelchair became a constant reminder of the burden he believed he was carrying. But what he didn't know was that Isabella carried a pain far deeper than physical paralysis. Her world had fallen apart long before she met Ethan. She used to be a classical pianist, someone whose fingers danced beautifully across piano keys, mesmerizing audiences. But the fire had not just taken her legs, it had taken her dreams, her confidence, her identity. Sitting in the wheelchair, she felt like a shadow of the person she once was. She felt like a burden on the universe itself. And now, married to a man who didn't even love her, she felt like fate was punishing her again. Days passed in awkward silence. Ethan helped her out of responsibility, not love. Isabella avoided conversations because she didn't want to trouble him. Lily, however, had a pure heart. She didn't see Isabella as different. She would bring her drawings, sit in her lap, and talk endlessly about school. Slowly, a fragile warmth started forming around the house, not between Ethan and Isabella, but between Isabella and Lily, and that warmth began softening Ethan's guarded heart. One chilly evening, Ethan returned home exhausted from work. He saw Isabella struggling to reach a book on a shelf. Her hands trembled as she tried, failing again and again. She wasn't crying, but her eyes held the kind of silence that screamed louder than tears. For the first time, Ethan felt a strange pull inside his chest. He walked to her, gently picked up the book, and placed it in her hands. That simple moment became the first crack in the walls around his heart. It was the first time he truly looked at her, not as a responsibility, but as a human being who had lost everything. Slowly, Ethan noticed things he had ignored before. The way she stared at the window every morning as if longing for a world that rejected her. The way her fingers tapped on imaginary piano keys, missing the touch of music. The way her eyes softened whenever Lily laughed. Ethan found himself wanting to help her, not out of duty, but out of genuine care. He began taking her outside in the garden, pushing her wheelchair through the small pathway under the sunlight. Isabella would tilt her head up, letting the breeze touch her face as if taking life in again. One evening, he found her crying quietly when she thought no one was watching. She was staring at old photos of her standing on a stage, receiving an award as a pianist. Ethan felt a sharp ache in his chest. He walked toward her, placed his hand gently on her shoulder, and whispered with his heart, she wasn't alone anymore. That night became a turning point. Something invisible, fragile, yet powerful began growing between them. Ethan started helping Isabella with small exercises recommended by her old therapist, though everyone had told her she would never walk again. But he believed that hope, even if foolish, was better than surrender. He encouraged her each day, supporting her gently, lifting her carefully as she tried to move her legs even slightly. It was painful for her, physically and emotionally, but Ethan's presence began giving her strength she thought she had lost forever. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan found himself thinking about her even while working. The sound of her laughter, rare but beautiful, began healing his heart in ways he couldn't explain. Isabella, on the other hand, felt something awakening inside her, a warmth she had buried deeply. She started believing that maybe she wasn't a burden. Maybe she could be loved again. Maybe she deserved happiness. One rainy night, a thunderstorm shook the sky, similar to the night Ethan lost his wife. Fear washed over him as memories resurfaced. He went to check on Lily, then walked to Isabella's room. She was awake, gazing at the raindrops racing down the window. Ethan sat beside her quietly, and for the first time since their forced marriage, Isabella placed her hand gently over his. The touch was light but full of meaning. It was as if two broken hearts were finding comfort in each other. That single touch changed everything. Their bond deepened day by day. Ethan started waking up earlier to prepare breakfast for both of them. Isabella began practicing hand exercises while watching Ethan help Lily get ready for school, feeling grateful to be part of a home again. Ethan noticed the glow returning to her face, the softness returning to her eyes. And gradually, he realized something he had never expected. His heart was falling for her, not out of obligation, but out of love. The day that changed everything arrived unexpectedly. Ethan was helping Isabella stand with support, his arms around her waist as she tried to lift herself from the wheelchair. Her legs trembled violently. Her breath shook. Ethan whispered encouragement, not as a caretaker, but as someone who believed in her. She lifted herself for a few seconds, then fell back into the wheelchair, her eyes filling with tears of frustration. Ethan knelt in front of her, took her trembling hands into his, and leaned forward, kissing her with a tenderness that held every emotion he had been suppressing. The moment their lips touched, something inside Isabella ignited, not magic, not miracle, but pure, overwhelming love and strength. Her heart pounded. She felt warmth rushing through her entire body. Ethan pulled back slightly, tears in his eyes, telling her without words that she wasn't broken. She wasn't unwanted. She was loved, and that love became her power. With tears streaming down her face, Isabella held onto him, gripping his shoulders as if life was returning to her. In a trembling motion, she pushed herself upward. Ethan froze in shock as he felt her weight shifting. Isabella, supported but determined, stood for the first time in years. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't steady, but it was real. She stood, because of strength, courage, and the love that Ethan gave her. Before moving toward the ending, if this story touched even a small corner of your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to you. Life transformed after that day. Isabella continued therapy, not out of desperation, but out of hope. Ethan stood beside her like a pillar, and Lily became her biggest cheerleader. The house that once felt like a place of pain slowly turned into a home filled with laughter, warmth, and love. Ethan no longer saw his marriage as a compromise, it became the blessing he never knew he needed. Isabella no longer saw herself as incomplete, she became stronger, braver, and more alive than ever before. Their journey wasn't perfect. Some days were harder than others, and progress came slowly. But they moved forward, hand in hand, heart to heart. Ethan often wondered if fate had really punished him or if it had actually given him a second chance at life. Isabella believed it was destiny, two wounded souls brought together so they could heal each other. And now, as they stood in the garden one evening, Isabella holding Ethan's hand while slightly resting on her cane, Lily running around them with joyful laughter, it was clear that life had given them something rare and beautiful. Love born from pain, hope born from despair, and strength born from a kiss that changed everything. Please write in the comments what part of this story touched you the most, because your words truly matter. If this story warmed your heart, made you emotional, or gave you hope, then please like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to believe in love again. Your support means the world. Dash dash dash.